So if you ever wonder what are probably the top 10 most powerful or most used or probably the 10 best cards in Commander Masters, well then you've came to the right video. In today's video I will be going over the 10 best cards. When it comes to this, it's not about the monetary value of it, it's more of how often is it used, how powerful it is when it comes to the mana cost versus like the ability that it does, how good is it. How good is it in not just one deck, in multiple decks? Is there multiple ways you can use this card? That's where I'll be basing this off. It is kind of more if the card is worth getting or getting like a play set of or anything like that. So let's start off with number 10, Deflecting Swat. This is the type of card I would pay 3 mana for anyway. The fact that if there is a single target activation ability, we'll say like murder, destroy target creature, then you're easy enough to just go, nope, I pick that thing. Also, there's cards with abilities that also do really good as well, but the best part of this card is if you have your commander on the field, it is for free. And this card is kind of can be played in nearly every deck that has a red mana pip in it, and it doesn't even have to be anything bad. There is cards out there that give target player double their life. There's also a lot of card draw that says target player, and if you want those cards or you want to double your life or anything good as well, you are able to do that and target yourself. So this card, I see a lot of people when they do play it or do talk about it, they only ever talk about, oh, someone played a murder or something bad happened and they targeted me with it and I just picked them again or another opponent, and they forget that it also works for the good parts of it as well. So again, cards that double your life or get you to draw. If it says target player on it, you can pick yourself. Same with abilities on cards too, which is really, really good. 9, Rise of the Eldrazi. So I do have to say the worst part of this card is the fact that it is 3 wastes and 9 mana. However, this card is absolutely amazing overall. Firstly, when you play it down, you don't have to worry about it being countered, and this is a card that personally I would love to make multiple copies of, which would be kind of difficult with the facts that the mana cost. However, there are now cards being printed that the first spell you cast at the start of your turn, you get a copy of it, and then there's other cards that help make copies a lot more easier, and a lot of cards that make copies a lot cheaper too, or cards a lot cheaper. So you only have to ever worry about the copies getting counted but not the spell itself. So even if the copy does get counted, you still, no matter what, get the original spell. Now the first part is Destroy a Permanent. The fact that Meteor Golem was around for a very long time and a lot of people do play, and it is 7 mana to destroy a target permanent that is a non-land, and that's played quite often. The fact that this costs slightly more but lets you destroy anything is a really good ability in my opinion, especially since it continues on. When it comes to the drawing 4 cards, this is rather probably going to be targeting you. However, if someone does have a counter spell to counter the copy or another thing like that, you can use it as a bargaining chip. If you have a load of cards in your hand and you want to play them all, and someone you're trying to mill, somehow you put in a mill deck, or you want someone to draw because they lose life whenever they draw, you can target them as well. So it's really good for a bargaining chip, being like, let me do this, or I'm going to help you out if you help me out, and stuff like that. And then there's also the take an extra turn after this, which is really, really good. I have an extra turn deck, and that's what I kind of want this card for, especially if I'm able to copy multiple times, because again, this is a card that you'll be able to destroy multiple permanents, draw multiple times, or draw 4 cards multiple times, and then take multiple extra turns. And the fact that when it is gone, it is absolutely gone, means that no one can take it from you, because there are a lot of graveyard like Steely decks now I've seen lately. But the only downside is the mana cost, and also you're not able to replay it. Well, there is ways, but it's quite difficult. Number 8, Sun Quan, Lord of Wu. So starting off with this, usually when it comes to playing a commander, I usually try and aim for 5 or less. However, if a commander has a really good ability, I do pick cards that is, and this is a really, really good ability, especially with the way people play. This is like what I would like to call a enchantment commander. This is a creature or commander that you don't really want to attack with or block with. You kind of want it on the field as long as humanly possible, because it is a great commander, because it pretty much just goes, I'm unblockable. All my creatures are unblockable. And with decks with merfolks that help other merfolks out, big serpent decks, Leviathan decks, loads of blue rogues as well. This card is really good for a commander or a 99 to just go, all my stuff's unblockable. Let's have a bit of fun. This card is really good, and the fact that it is getting a reprint is very good because it will lower the price, and it'll still be pricey, but it'll be the lowest it has been since its probably original release, so it'll be good to have a unblockable blue commander deck. 7. Ghaltir Primal Hunger. Starting off with this, I do have to say this is probably a biased card. This is the first ever commander deck I ever built, and I still have it to this day. I absolutely love my Ghaltir deck. I wish I could actually play it more. Yes, I did say in the previous one, if it's 5 or more mana, I try not to, but this is 2 mana pretty much all the time. I have had to pay full mana for it, but that is a small percentage. That's like 2% of the time, probably even less. Usually it is 2 mana every time I play it, and it is a really good, because even if I literally have had games where I've literally played like an 8/8 and already had a few creatures on the field, played this and had a 12/12 blocker, and then next turn attacked. Plus, with the amount of stuff that green can do, you have your big green creatures, you have your elf decks that help each other and let you play more elves, which ends up making this a lot cheaper. And then 1/1 counters is really easy to do in green. So even no matter what you do, no matter what green creature you play, you give it a few 1/1 counters, they all add up, and then Ghaltir is 2 mana no matter what you do. Plus, the amount of ways you can win with commander damage on this creature is absolutely ridiculous. You can easily give it double strike with a few artifacts, and then with a full clear attack, they're gone. There is now a load of green cards that double the power and toughness of creatures until end of turn, so you're able to, again, if it's unblockable, be able to pop some with commander damage. But then there is my personal favorite, the Berserk and Rogue's Passage combo, where you literally just kind of Drow Pipe someone and instantly knock them out because of Rogue's Passage. This is one of my favorite commanders of all time, so I do think this is here mainly for a bias, but it is a great commander. Number 6, Jeweled Lotus. This card is really good to play in any mono deck or any dual color deck. It gets a bit weary from 3 and up, but that's because it can only be used for 3 mana of the same color. But I do still really think it is an amazing card and worth the price so far. It is very pricey. However, if you have a mono or dual color commander, it really does help and gives you a really good boost, especially if you play a deck that you need your commander for. You are able, depending on what you play, some commanders you're actually able to play on the turn you get it. And then there's on turn 1, there's also commanders that you're able to play turn 2 or turn 3 that are 5 or mana up, depending on the deck and how it's built. This is one of those cards where you pick your favorite mono or dual color deck, in my opinion, and then just put this in, because a lot of people I know that play Magic the Gathering have that one pet deck that they want to put kind of all their money in. And I think if you ever have one of those, investing in one of these cards for a deck you know you're going to have for at least a very long time, I think is personally worth it, especially if it is a powerful deck. 5. Avacyn, Angel of Hope. To be honest with this one, I actually prefer it as a 99, but it is also a really good commander. The only downside being is its mana cost, but looking at its abilities, it is totally worth the mana. It's more of a late game deck than an early game deck in my opinion. For 8 mana, you get an 8/8 with 3 keywords on it. Is really good. Usually when it comes to this, you might get 1, possibly 2, but you get 3 really great keywords. Flying is really good when it comes to playing this game because it is harder to block than your normal creature. With Vigilance, you're able to attack and block with it, but even then, if something has Death Touch or higher power than it, like the Ghaltir in the previous one, it is still alive. Plus, all your permanents also gain indestructible. So with board wipes that are becoming more and more common in decks, it does help with a lot of the board wipes, even though we are getting some that exiles everything. But also people that like destroying lands, protects your lands too. This is a really good card because it gives all your permanents indestructible. If it was just non-man permanents, this would not be in this list. But because of that, it protects your lands. You're able to put ridiculous lands in your deck, ridiculous creatures. But personally, I think it would be better in the 99, but it is still a really good card. Number 4, Smothering Tide. If you've played Magic for we'll say over a year, you know this card. This card is the bane of a lot of players' existence. It's actually highly argumentative when it comes to being banned or not. Some people I've seen say ban it, some people say they shouldn't ban it, and I've seen some people say change it to 1 mana instead of 2, and then stuff like that. A lot of people usually put a green and white deck together and play this with Rhystic Studies, just to annoy people because they are 2 cards that seem to really get on people's nerves, and I don't think either of them will be banned because they have been reprinted so much the last 2 years. So I'm not sure if there's much to say about this card of why it's in this top 10 because it kind of is self-explanatory. It annoys people, it has got quite good mana cost for what it does, and the fact that you always pretty much get your mana back unless someone hate picks it or gets rid of it right away just shows how more powerful this card is. I've seen games where people literally don't have to tap their mana at all because people just go, there's no point, they have 20 treasures, let's just keep going, and they have no cards in their hand, but they're just solely using the treasures. 3, the Great Henge. This card is absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't know when to stop. The fact that majority of the time you play it for 2 mana, and I love this card, I have it in that new Jodah deck. I literally pay it for 2 mana and I get like a 9 cost card off Jodah for free is absolutely ridiculous. But the fact that it's pretty much like majority of the time 2 green mana for the abilities you get is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that it stood tap for 2 green, I would have been happy if the card was literally, this is cheaper, it taps for 2 green. I'm like, this is going in majority of the decks. However, you also gain 2 life. Now I know that's not a lot, but it does add up every time you're using it, and then it just keeps going. Whenever you play a non-token creature, it gets a +1/+1. The amount, again, as I said with Golter, green cards giving +1/+1 on stuff is really easy. And then the fact that if you have, like, we'll say cards where all creatures get -2/-2 and you're playing a 2/2 deck, everything gets +3/+3, like +1/+1, so they become 3/3s. So this card is ridiculous. And then it's also got a drawing engine on. Just whenever you play a creature, you put a 1/1 counter and draw a card. The amount of times that card has literally saved me is absolutely unreal. And also, it doesn't even matter if you cast it. If you have Omniscience and you play a bunch of creatures, they all get +1/+1 and you get a draw a card. Jodah's ability, the amount of times I have this on the field, and because of Jodah's ability, I play a creature, Jodah activates, they both get +1/+1 and I draw 2 cards then. This card really did not know when to stop and is probably one of the greatest cards probably in the last 5 years in my personal opinion. Number 2, Demonic Tutor. When it comes to this list, you probably guessed that this card was definitely going to be in it. In my own personal opinion and looking online, this is the best tutor in Magic the Gathering hands down, and it always gets the prettiest art. I've still been trying to get my hands on the normal and Japanese version of the Mystical Archive, and now it has a new prettier version too. This card is absolutely bonkers. The fact that you pay 2 mana and able to get the best card in your deck and put it straight into your hand is absolutely ridiculous. Then you also get a free shuffle. For 2 mana, there's a load of cards that people enjoy that let you put it at the top of your deck and then you also lose life. This one you don't lose life. This is probably the best tutor in Magic the Gathering, and again, if I'm wrong, please let me know because I like learning more about Magic the Gathering. 1. Dublin Season. And then this card I have wanted for a very long time, and my friend was nice enough to get me one for Christmas, but now it's getting reprints again all the time. This card used to be like a very rare card and now it's getting like 2 reprints in the last 6 months. and I'm not complaining about it because I hope the card's price drops. It probably will not, but this card is absolutely amazing. For 5 mana, it pretty much sets your deck up if your deck is built right. If you have this on the field and you have a Smothering Tide, you get 2 treasures for every time. There's also cards that, like the Great Adderphase and Worldspire Worm, which is absolutely ridiculous. If someone kills your Worldspire Worm, you get 6 worms and it goes back into your library. Like, there's so many cards, so many tokens in this deck. There's already powerful token decks that don't have this card in it because they're not in the right colors. But anyone that has literally anything that makes tokens, and there are some powerful tokens out there, Dublin Season just goes, yeah, double it. Treasures become unreal with this card. I've literally seen someone have a Gruul deck and they played, you know, the monkey that gives you treasures equal to the amount of artifacts on the field or something like that, and then it's like, yeah, double. And then that's not even half of it. I would pay 5 mana for the first half ability alone and put it in half the decks I own. For the second one, it gets even more ridiculous because, again, it is in green. If you have a 1/1 counter deck, everything gets double the 1/1 counters and is absolutely ridiculous, especially with the cards that gives like multiple 1/1 counters, or there's the one that whenever a creature gets a 1/1 counter on it, it gets an additional 1/1 counter on it. So you're pretty much getting +2/+2 for each activation of it. Is absolutely ridiculous. And then that's not even the most broken thing with this card. It just keeps going. Planeswalkers with this card is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I'm going to play this Planeswalker. It enters with double the amount of loyalty on it. Oh, here is a +1. Oh, sorry, I mean +2 now. It is absolutely ridiculous that the fact that there is powerful cards that was like, oh, it takes a while to ult, but when it ults, it's a really good ult. No, Dublin Season's on the field. Play it straight down. Ult it straight away. Now I have a very powerful ult that would usually take like 3 to 5 turns to activate. This card is absolutely ridiculous and is probably the best card when it comes to just soul playment, when it comes to Commander Masters. But now that the set is finally out, if you think this is wrong or you think that there should be a card in here, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know which card is your favorite when it comes to this type of Magic the Gathering content. Let me know what you think of this top 10 in the comments down below. If there's any cards I missed and think should have been in, let me know. Let me know what you think of these cards in general in the comments down below. While you are there, remember to like, subscribe and follow me on all my social media. I've also started a Patreon if you'd like to support more of this content. It will also be in my link tree down below. If you like this video, I have Is This Entire Set Worth It? Here, a playlist of Is Stuff Worth It here, and a subscribe button here, which I think you should all hit, and I will see you all in the next video.